His expression was very helpless. He stared at Mu Huixiu and Mu Huixiu just smiled at him. Bai Ruiao knew it was impossible for this woman to help him, but he didn't give up. Instead, he made a betrayed expression. There aren't many people in the circle who survived. After more than half a year, you are the only one I've seen. Dear, how can you be willing to watch me die? Mu Huixiu didn't answer. Bai Ruiao grasped the moment when Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo slightly relaxed their vigilance to suddenly run in the direction of the Temple of Heaven. In the hot daylight, a black figure struggled to escape at a fast speed. Tang Mo was slightly stunned, but Fu Wenduo immediately chased. He lowered his body so it was parallel to the ground, almost clinging to the ground. His elbows and knees collided with the ground, making a faint metal sound. Mu Huixiu was amazed. Her dynamic vision let her see that Fu Wenduo's body would become a small piece of metal every time it touched the ground. Every collision was an acceleration. Bai Ruiao's speed was very fast and Mu Huixiu believed that she couldn't catch up with him once he escaped a few meters. Yet Fu Wenduo could actually catch him. He waved his right arm and the black triangular weapon stabbed at Bai Ruiao. Bai Ruiao seemed to have eyes in the back of his head. He weighed whether he could escape or not and immediately gave up on fleeing, turning to block the blow. Two silver B.U.T. turfly knives collided with the black weapon and both of them slid back half a meter. The pink parasol arrived in an instant and Bai Ruiao once again blocked. Next was a close combat fight close to the top of the human level. On the square in front of the Temple of Heaven, 3 people kept approaching and hitting each other. Soon, all 3 had small wounds on them. Bai Ruiao had the most injuries. He kept smiling as he calmly stared at Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo's actions, carefully evading. Only Mu Huixiu could see the movements of the 3 people. As the first continued, her expression gradually became more serious. There seemed to be a golden light flash H.I+NG in her eyes. Every place she stared at, the next second one of the trio would attack. Bai Ruiao's wrists moved and 2 B.U.T. turfly knives flew at Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo's eyes. Then he turned and ran, no longer needing his weapons. Unexpectedly, Tang Mo pulled out a piece of glowing stone from his pocket. This stone wasn't amazing, but the moment Tang Mo threw it into the air, the 2 B.U.T. turfly knives flew towards it. It was like a magnet and the B.U.T. turfly knives firmly stuck to it. Bai Ruiao's expression was dark. His B.U.T. turfly knives attack didn't work and he was quickly captured by Fu Wenduo. Fu Wenduo didn't give him the opportunity to struggle, directly taking out the causality rope and tying the baby-faced youth up. Bai Ruiao's face was gloomy and unpleasant as he was tied up. He looked at Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo before smiling awkwardly. Major Fu, your skill when tying people up isn't good at all. I have a particularly interesting binding method. Do you want to try it? Tang Mo put away the small parasol and caught the stone falling from the air. Untie your rope and tie it up again? Bai Ruiao, what are you saying? Bai Ruiao made an innocent expression. I didn't say you had to untie me. Tang, that's what you said yourself. Tang Mo didn't care about him. He took the stone and tried to remove the 2 B.U.T. turfly knives stuck to it. The 2 knives clung to the glowing stone for half a minute. Once 30 seconds said, the magnetic force was suddenly lost and the knives fell to the ground. Tang Mo reached out to pick them up but Bai Ruiao exclaimed, come back. The speed of the B.U.T. turfly knives was faster than Tang Mo and they flew into Bai Ruiao's sleeve. Tang Mo's eyes narrowed. This prop had to at least be a rare quality. Tang Mo thought about how many good props he could get after killing Bai Ruiao. He looked down at the baby-faced youth and his eyes sank when he saw the expression on the other person's face. After a moment of silence, Tang Mo asked, do you still have a means to save your life? I was caught by Tang. How can I still have a life-saving means? The baby-faced youth smiled at him, his eyes dark and still laughing. He asked this question but he knew the answer better than anyone else. Bai Ruiao had a means to save his life. He was a person afraid of death. Now Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo really wanted to kill him. He was angry but he didn't feel that he would die. Tang Mo didn't understand how this person had confidence that he could live. Mu Huixiu came over. I am also very curious. This lucky person, can you still escape? Don't plead with me. We don't know each other. Bai Ruiao was hurt by her remark. If he wasn't tied up then he might have made a gesture of wiping his tears. After playing for a while, he saw that Tang Mo and Mu Huixiu didn't respond to him. Bai Ruiao lifted his gaze to Fu Wenduo and smiled. Hehe, Major Fu, I want you to spare my life. Fu Wenduo looked indifferent as he made a noise. HRMM. Bai Ruiao told him, I've had enough of games. I want to save my life more than having fun. I won't deliberately make trouble for you in the future. If I accidentally run into you in the same game, it isn't my intention. Of course, I also won't deliberately harm you. The baby-faced youth looked wrong. In fact, I've never killed anyone. Tang, in the Queen of Hearts gem corridor, I thought about taking away your moonflower but I didn't succeed. Even if I took it away, you could rob the child and still clear the instance. Fu Wensheng cried out angrily, why should he take my moonflower to clear the instance? Bai Ruiao replied, I'm just saying it. This didn't happen at the time. Fu Wensheng wanted to rush over to kick this psychopath but Chen Shanshan stopped him. You can't beat him. Fu Wensheng, the weak had no human rights. The wronged child retreated behind Fu Wenduo and decided to tell his parents. Big brother, help me beat him up. Fu Wenduo stared at Bai Ruiao. Is that it? Bai Ruiao continued to watch Fu Wenduo. Second, I have a message about the Black Tower. Let me go and I'll tell you. Tang Tang, this news is definitely worth it. You haven't listened to me. How do you know it is useless? Tang Mo gripped the small parasol and smiled. Then tell us what it is. Bai Ruiao paused for a while before selling himself. Sunlight shone from the Temple of Heaven, casting a shadow on him. The sound of his laughter was a bit mysterious. 6 months ago, the Black Tower was online and there was the 3-day player selection period. I performed a secret mission in Chongqing. Halfway through, I found my heartbeat speeding up. I thought I could control this physical change but I couldn't bear it and fainted on the dark road. Tang Mo's eyes narrowed as he realized what Bai Ruiao was talking about. At that time, my heartbeat reached 194 at the maximum. Fu Wenduo asked, is that real? Bai Ruiao blinked. You guess. Of course it wasn't real data. 6 months ago at the Shanghai attack base, Luo Fengcheng told Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo about the accelerated heartbeat phenomenon. At that time, the two of them told Luo Fengcheng that they experienced it but they didn't fully trust each other at the time. Thus, they told each other false information. Tang Mo's maximum heartbeat was 532 but he said it was 169. Fu Wenduo said it was 171 but this number was absolutely impossible. That wasn't the point. Tang Mo said, a very small number of people have the heartbeat acceleration phenomenon. We all know this. What about it? Bai Ruiao said, I know what this heartbeat acceleration means. Tang Mo was surprised and he glanced at Fu Wenduo. Mu Huixu wondered, what does it mean? Bai Ruiao didn't speak and just smiled at Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo. Fu Wenduo asked, what is it? Bai Ruiao spoke to him. Major Fu, do you promise to let me go? Fu Wenduo was silent for a long time as he exchanged looks with Tang Mo. Okay. Bai Ruiao explained, the maximum number of the heartbeat acceleration doesn't matter. It just means how powerful the person who once had this ability was. The higher the heartbeat, the more powerful the former owner. Tang Mo turned to look at Fu Wenduo and Fu Wenduo was also looking at him. Your ability note. Yes, my ability note. Chen Shanshan was shocked. Once owned the ability. Bai Ruiao looked at her. Yes, the previous owner. There are 7 billion people on the planet. Some became Earth survivors and some became returnees. Among the Earth survivors, the official players and stowaways will gain an ability from the beginning. For the reserve players, some of them cleared the Black Tower floors and gained an ability. The situation of the returnees, Bai Ruiao looked at Mu Huixu. Mu Huixu wasn't stingy with her own intelligence. In that world, on the 7th day, all returnees cleared the Black Tower's first floor. At the time, there were 1.6 billion people left. This meant that at least 1.6 billion returnees gained an ability. Although there were currently only 300,000 returnees surviving, there were also the Earth survivors who had abilities. Bai Ruiao said, humans with abilities, there are at least 1.7 billion, 1.8 billion? Hehe, that doesn't matter. Tang Mo whispered, Bai Ruiao. Chen Shanshan asked him, is it true that before us, there were humans who had abilities? Who said the previous owner was a human? Chen Shanshan couldn't speak. Fu Wenduo questioned it. Then what are they? Bai Ruiao replied arrogantly. I don't know. He didn't wait for Tang Mo to start and hurriedly continued, I do know that every player who had their hearts accelerate was because a player once had the same ability and that player cleared the Black Tower's 7th floor. My mortal's death, Bai Ruiao paused and said helplessly. My ability isn't a secret. Since Tang Tang already has it, the others should know it as well. Mu Huixu glanced at Tang Mo. Bai Ruiao leaked the information of Tang Mo's power to Mu Huixu and Tang Mo just sneered at him. Bai Ruiao said pitifully, my mortal's death, your mysterious ability and Major Fu's inexplicable ability to become Iron Man. Previous players had similar abilities and they said through the Black Tower's 7th floor. As for whether they cleared our Black Tower or different Black Towers, I don't know either. He was clearly a prisoner and begging for his life but Bai Ruiao still had ways to make people want to hit him. Tang Mo's brain worked quickly before he said, why should we believe your words? I'm not lying. We don't know if you are lying. Bai Ruiao's eyes narrowed and he decided to reveal something else. This information was told to me by a Black Tower boss. She is very senior and very strong. Hey Tang Tang, look at your face. I know what you want to ask. Why would a powerful Black Tower monster tell me such an important thing? Hehe, it is probably because I am kind and cute. Tang Mo was ready to kick him and Bai Ruiao hurriedly said, it is because I completed a hidden mission. She and I have the same surname. She is also surnamed by TL, White, so she decided to tell me this interesting information. Bai Ruiao's eyes were sincere. I'm really not lying. Tang Mo definitely knew he wasn't lying. This news contained a great deal of information for Tang Mo. He closed his eyes and swallowed his doubts. He was ready to finish off Bai Ruiao before discussing it with Chen Shanshan and Fu Wenduo. Yes, Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo never intended to let Bai Ruiao go. Tang Mo generally didn't break his promises. Most of the time he would keep promises to others. This was especially true for Fu Wenduo. However, this was Bai Ruiao. Tang Mo knew that Bai Ruiao was a person who would keep his promises. He promised Ning Zheng that he wouldn't threaten him again and would help him keep the secrets. Despite Ning Zheng not helping him against Tang Mo, he didn't divulge Ning Zheng's secret. Yet Bai Ruiao only said that he wouldn't deliberately make trouble. He didn't say what would happen if the two of them actually encountered each other in the same game. His strong strength made Tang Mo wary, and people who were afraid of death were always vengeful. Bai Ruiao was extremely afraid of death, and he would be even more vengeful. Between death ends all troubles and the tiger finding him again, Tang Mo chose the former. Fu Wenduo helped him make the promise because Bai Ruiao believed that Major Fu would keep his promise. He didn't believe in Tang Mo. Tang Mo also admitted that he wouldn't care about these things in necessary moments. Fu Wenduo was different. However, when Fu Wenduo replied to Bai Ruiao, he used his eyes to tell Tang Mo that it didn't matter. Tang Mo quietly touched his small parasol while Fu Wenduo stood calmly to the side. Tang Mo was just about to grab the handle when Bai Ruiao looked at Fu Wenduo and suddenly said, "There is a third thing." Tang Mo's actions stopped. Mu Huixiu smiled. Surely enough, a lucky person's means of saving his life will always be amazing. This is really interesting. I want to know what else you can pull out that will stop them from killing you. Bai Ruiao blinked and stared sincerely at Fu Wenduo. July 18, 2014, Myanmar, Mayat Kayana. Fu Wenduo's expression changed. It was you. Bai Ruiao grinned and winked. I'm your F. Fu Wenduo was silent. A long time said before he said, let's go. He raised his hand and took back the prop tying up Bai Ruiao. Tang Mo was surprised but didn't say anything. The baby-faced youth made a heartbroken expression as he asked Tang Mo, Tang, do you really hate me? Tang Mo held the small parasol and sneered. Bai Ruiao, do you really want to die? Bai Ruiao spread open his hands innocently. Then he turned and ran, quickly disappearing from the Temple of Heaven. Park Mu Huixiu spoke emotionally, it was Fly who sent that letter 4 years ago. Tang Mo looked at Fu Wenduo. What did he do? Fu Wenduo explained what happened 4 years ago. Tang Mo didn't expect that Bai Ruiao, this disgusting guy, would actually save people. He saved 2 of China's elite special forces at the time. 4 years ago, Fu Wenduo received a special tip. He led his Xiaolong group and another special forces team to Mayat Kayana, Myanmar, reader to catch a big drug lord. The night before they were going to move, someone gave them a lollipop through a local child. Once they opened it, a note was hidden in the heart of the sugar. Please enter the boiling pot. There was also a drawing of a big tortoise with a basin covering its face, struggling on its belly. This F originally referred to Fox. Mu Huixiu added, Fox was probably performing another mission in the area. He discovered this by accident and reminded you of it. Everyone in the circle is unaware of other missions and the whereabouts of their colleagues. We don't even know each all of us look like. This incident was quite famous in the circle. I didn't expect him to be the one behind it. Don't worry, Fly's ability is keep promises is as famous as his popularity. He never breaks it, so he shouldn't make trouble in the future. Xiao Fu muttered, you should have beaten him up before letting him go. He wasn't hit hard enough. Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo glanced at each other. They decided to discuss the important information Bai Ruiao gave them after leaving the Temple of Heaven. The bright suns.h.I+ne shone on the 5 people. The sun had said the middle of the sky and was tilting slightly to the west. Mu Huixiu was tall, but she was a woman after all. Her height couldn't compare to Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo. Tang Mo lowered his head and looked at the long string of golden numbers on her neck. 260126 in Santa's quirky commercial street, all players had their abilities and ident.I.ties restricted. They couldn't use abilities and their ident.I.tie was Santa's customer. After leaving the instance, Tang Mo found that Ning Zheng had become an official player and lost the status of returnee. Mu Huixiu was still a returnee. Eliminate 5 players, including but not limited to the game mode, and they could become an official player. It was very simple for Mu Huixiu to become an official player. Yet she was still a returnee. Chen Shanshan asked, why? Mu Huixiu was particularly patient with the child. She bent over to look at Chen Shanshan and smiled. Why what? Chen Shanshan wondered, am I that short? The little girl spoke again. Why are you still a returnee? It was possible for anyone in this world to still be a returnee except for Mu Huixiu. She was superior to the other 350,00 returnees and her rest time was several times larger than the second place. There was only one possibility for why she wasn't an official player yet. Mu Huixiu laughed. What is the difference between a returnee and official player? In any case, I'll be dead soon. This woman really wanted to die and she had no interest in becoming an official player. Perhaps it was because he spent a long time with Mu Huixiu and she helped him get the number 5 die. Xiao Fu was a lot more courageous and asked curiously, the number on your neck, did you really kill so many people? Mu Huixiu happily answered the child's question. Kill a returnee who has no rest time and you can get the other person's 10-minute break. Kill a person with rest time and in addition to the 10 minutes, you can get half of the other person's rest time. Child, how many people do you think I've killed? Oh yes, I don't know your name. Fu Wenduo answered, he is Fu Wenzheng. Mu Huixiu instantly understood as she glanced back and forth between Fu Wenduo and Fu Wenzheng. So I was cheated by you from the beginning. She looked at Tang Mo. You pretended not to know this little friend in the candy house and I really believed it. She found the reason and laughed. Perhaps it is because Earth is too peaceful. The longer I stay here, the more I let down my guard. Fu Wenzheng looked at her strangely. Xiao Fu never felt that Earth was peaceful. Although, compared to the world of the returnees, Earth might be more comfortable. However, the players who live to the present have also experienced life and death. Mu Huixiu pointed to her neck. I didn't remove this for two reasons. First, I am too lazy since I am going to die anyway. Second, I moved from Guangzhou to Beijing. People didn't dare lay a hand on me when they saw this number. It is useful. She spoke Cantonese at the end and seemed to be in a good mood. You want to find Fu Wenduo so he can kill you? Tang Mo asked. Yes. Why? Mu Huixiu replied, there are two reasons. First of all, in the world of the returnees, everyone is very fond of their lives. If they aren't certain then they won't easily challenge the players higher than them on the time leaderboard. I haven't fought a strong person in a very long time. I like to fight. Tang Mo hadn't seen it at all. Did Mu Huixiu like fighting that much? Fu Wenduo spoke up. The second reason. Mu Huixiu looked seriously at him. This is related to my ability. Before I tell you my ability, I'd like to make sure. Major Fu, do you agree to fight with me? Fu Wenduo didn't answer, asking instead, how many people have you killed? Mu Huixiu had long guessed he would ask this and quickly answered, 76 people. Xiao Fu exclaimed, so few. 76 people sounded like a lot. After the earth went only, Tang Mo hadn't killed more than 20 people. However, Mu Huixiu was a returnee and was at the top of the brutal food chain with 260,000 minutes of rest time. Of the 260,000 minutes, 120,000 of it was from killing the previous first place on the time leaderboard. The man had 240,000 minutes of rest time and I got half of it. Mu Huixiu pointed to the string of golden numbers. The number was completely transparent and floating beside her neck. There were too many numbers and it rolled gently, giving off a faint B.L.O.D.Y smell. As for the other 140,00, there were many people who wanted to kill me when I first became number 1. I killed them and got half of their rest time. Most of the challengers were high-ranking players on the time leaderboard. Mu Huixiu touched her neck and smiled. The hint of killing intent contained in it couldn't be ignored. She recalled that period. I had no name on the time leaderboard before I killed the first place person. I suddenly appeared and immediately jumped to third place. A strange female player who killed the first ranked person, perhaps with luck, isn't she an attractive target? Mu Huixiu grinned, revealing sharp tiger's teeth. Added a KO5 for the people asking for an alternative to Patreon. You can also join my Discord channel to chat with fellow readers about the novels.